On Channel 5.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Eyewitnesses say that she sat alone in row 10, that her tray table was down throughout the Cairo to Athens flight, that she spent much of the time listening to what appeared to be a cassette player, the picture of a casual traveler. But Doug Tennell reports tonight she, or possibly a he dressed as a she, may actually have been the murderer who killed people on TWA Flight 840.
Investigators in Athens piecing together the puzzle of the TWA bombing say they have evidence that a woman traveling under the name May Elias Mansour planted the bomb. But in Lebanon today, a statement delivered to news agencies in Tripoli said May Mansour was not involved and threatened legal action against anyone who says she is a terrorist. The statement was signed May Mansour but could not be verified. A key eyewitness arrived in Athens today, a TWA employee who told investigators more about the mysterious suspect he rushed through the Cairo airport 2 days ago. Egyptian authorities said she was a late arrival, but airline officials say Mansour checked in plenty of time to make the flight. It was after checking in that she was held up by Egyptian security men to be frisked and have her hand baggage searched. Why Mansour was held up longer than most departing passengers remains a mystery tonight.
I'm quite sure that the tight security measures adopted here in the Cairo airport are extremely very tight.
When May Mansour arrived from Cairo, she spent 6 hours waiting in the transit lounge of the Athens airport. Then, just moments before the TWA plane landed, May Mansour boarded a flight for Beirut.
Doug, what does this woman look like and what is her political background?
She's about 30 years old, Dan. She's said to walk with a limp. Otherwise, she's rather nondescript. Her political background remains a mystery. There is one report that says she is a well-known female terrorist who works for an extreme left-wing Christian group in Lebanon.
Are there any other suspects?
There has been one other arrest, an arrest today in the same transit lounge where May Mansour was waiting for her flight to Beirut. A man who is identified as Mahmoud Yusuf is presently being questioned by Greek police. He arrived here under suspicious circumstances without luggage or hand baggage, and the Greek police are trying to establish why.
Thank you, Doug. Though Italian authorities say that May Elias Mansour is a known terrorist, the U.S. Justice Department and Interpol said today they have no such information, that she is not on their terrorism alert lists. It was revealed today that the United States Federal Aviation Administration inspected the Cairo airport last month and concluded that security procedures did meet international standards. The Cairo airport presents some special problems, but as Tom Fenton reports, even good security at the best airports can't always stop a determined terrorist, especially one with the latest in bomb technology.
If indeed the bomb was smuggled through Cairo airport, what kind of bomb could it have been? We talked to explosives expert Sidney Alford, who showed us that state-of-the-art explosives don't necessarily look like bombs.
Let's have a look. This is Explosives Engineer. It's a journal. Inside it, we have this sort of bit of paper or plastic. It is actually high explosive.
That's an explosive?
Yes, indeed. And that piece, for example, would pretty well demolish the table. But this is plastic explosive. It is indeed plastic.
Is that enough to blow a hole through the side of an airplane?
If it were, I should think, within, give me an airplane, I'll demonstrate, but if it were within a foot or so of the side of an airplane, it would very probably perforate the side of the airplane, and the pressure differential between inside and outside will probably give you a nasty big hole.
What's that? That looks like weather stripping.
This you could use as weather strip. It would serve quite well as weather strip. It's got double-sided sticky tape on, so it's quite easy to apply. This particular stuff is French. It happens to be high explosive. If you like something also plastic explosive that looks more like the soles of your shoes, then you could sole your feet with that one. Well, this piece of string is what I would wrap, for example, I would wrap a parcel with if I thought that you may be you may be indiscreet to the extent of suspecting my parcel, and my parcel would be quite innocuous. You probably would not suspect the string itself of being explosive.
What do you use as a fuse?
To set it off, if I were doing it the conventional way, I would use a detonator. That's a typical but rather big detonator.
But you could hide that in a pencil.
Well, certainly could, certainly could.
So really, you could take this bag of tricks, an item from there, into almost any airport and onto almost any plane.
And get away with it.
And get away with it.
Alas.
4 days after a Mexicana Airlines flight crashed, killing 166 people, 2 Arab terror groups are claiming they caused that accident. Their purported reason, retaliation for recent U.S. military action against Libya. Despite this claim, U.S. and Mexican investigators are giving no indication they suspect the Mexicana flight was sabotaged, but they have not said what they do think caused the crash.
I tell you, when the National Cancer Institute says eat more fiber and less fat, it's hard to ignore. So I checked out all the cereals, you know, the side of the box, and I found something new. All bran with extra fiber. The extra fiber makes it the highest fiber cereal out there. And when the National Cancer Institute says eat more fiber, I'm going to eat more fiber.
Kellogg's All Bran, and now All Bran with extra fiber, the highest fiber cereal ever.
It's a job where you just can't put up with a headache.
People are telling us about the Nuprin difference.
I use Nuprin instead of Tylenol. The difference is that Nuprin relieves pain better.
Nuprin works great, and it doesn't upset my stomach like aspirin.
Nuprin contains the non-prescription strength of the medicine in Motrin tablets. Compared to the regular strengths of aspirin or Tylenol, Nuprin has more pain-relieving strength.
There's a difference with Nuprin. It gives me better pain relief.
Nuprin, the difference you can feel.
Investors' belief that the decline in interest rates has bottomed out and that oil prices will rise contributed today to a second straight sharp decline on the stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped more than 27 points. For the week, the Dow was off more than 82 points from last Friday's record high. The government today reported this nation's civilian unemployment rate dropped, but just 0.1% in March to 7.2%. Some analysts said these latest figures indicate the economy is not improving as strongly as earlier indicated. Oil and gas producing states have been especially hard hit, and this week the New York investment agency of Standard & Poor's said declines in the oil economy led it to drop Louisiana's credit rating to the lowest level among the 50 states. Harry Smith has been looking into the downward slide of the Louisiana economy.
This morning, like every morning, Louisiana longshoremen came here looking for work. 2 years ago, the Waterfront Employment Center supplied 1,000 jobs a day. This morning, 500 men will be lucky to get hired.
As far as we're concerned, we don't have any hope.
While most of the country has enjoyed economic recovery, Louisiana has been suffering. Unemployment has doubled since 1980 and is now the worst in the nation. During the oil boom, the Harvey Canal was teeming with tugs and barges. Today, the waterway is wide open. These 2 push boats haven't moved anything in 2 years.
From 4 or 5 years ago, when the market was really tops, it may be down close to 70–80%.
More than 20,000 oil and gas jobs have been lost in the state, with more layoffs sure to come.
I mean, everybody was already on their knees, but this oil price drop has taken any hope away from many of the people that were hanging on, so to speak.
We could very easily, by mid-year, be at an unemployment rate of 14 to 14.5%.
The Louisiana State Treasury is facing a shortfall of up to $1 billion. To avoid cutting state services and firing employees, the governor wants to institute a lottery and legalize casino gambling. In New Orleans, they celebrated the opening of the World's Fair here 2 years ago, but the expected explosion in tourism never occurred. Downtown hotels had a 52% occupancy rate last year. The office towers next door are only 3/4 full. Budget cuts have already hit New Orleans. People have protested the closing of 2 libraries. Another closed today. 2 more will close within weeks. And yesterday, the city agreed to borrow $3.5 million just to make next week's payroll. At Preservation Hall, you can still hear the old-time music. But these days, Louisiana's economic present is sounding more like its musical past. Harry Smith, CBS News, New Orleans.
One of the biggest savings and loan associations in Texas was shut down by federal officials today, closed, declared insolvent. The Mainland Savings Association had assets over $1 billion, but depositors won't lose their money. They're protected by the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation, the FSLIC. While that may be great news for depositors in Texas, business correspondent Jane Bryant Quinn looks tonight why it may be part of a growing Texas-sized headache for the rest of us.
This sign says that your money is safe, insured by the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation, up to $100,000. And the government will keep that promise, but it doesn't know exactly how. So many savings and loans are in trouble today that the insurance fund has run short of cash.
Every single day, in my opinion, the insurance fund is being jeopardized because banks like us are losing money every single day.
Alan Weitz is the new president of Sunbelt Federal in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is losing more than $1 million every month. Yet Sunbelt and as many as 460 other failing savings and loans around the country stay open for business because there is no longer enough money in the insurance fund to cover their losses and close them down.
The longer those cases remain unresolved, the more they bleed and the more eventual cost it will be to the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation.
Right now, the Savings and Loan Insurance Fund has only $3 to $6 billion available to protect deposits. To shut down all the money-losing institutions could cost $20 billion or more. Although the majority of savings and loan associations are now earning record profits, the sick institutions are getting sicker, staggering under bad loans like this unfinished apartment complex that will cost Sunbelt Federal up to $5 million. Washington has been arguing over where to get the billions of dollars needed to save the deposit insurance fund, which so far has been supported entirely by the savings and loan industry. A new plan just proposed to Congress to borrow the money from the private credit markets. But some congressmen think in the long run that will not be enough.
The only way to do that, in my opinion, is to bite the bullet and provide the money from the taxpayers' coffers.
While Washington argues over which bullet to bite, new managers are fighting to save some of the failing savings and loans. But without quick action from government, they say, their institutions will be lost.
I'm saying now start experimenting. Don't wait until tomorrow because time is running out.
There is no reason for customers to take their money out of savings and loan associations. The federal government will not allow insured depositors to lose a penny. But savers will feel a lot more comfortable when their insurance fund is whole again. Jane Bryant Quinn, CBS News, New York.
Federal government word tonight that the national debt has now passed the $2 trillion mark for the first time in history. That's $2 trillion. The national debt has doubled in the past 5 years. More than 24 hours after it began, a standoff continued tonight between Chicago police and a hostage-holding gunman. Police said 57-year-old John Pash yesterday shot and killed his landlord and a police officer. The 300-pound Pash, an unemployed machinist, described by his neighbors as timid, held a 74-year-old woman hostage. Police made a televised appeal for a peaceful surrender and said, "We're still trying to convince him we are men of our word." There is a new and alarming study out tonight about AIDS. It finds that virtually everyone infected with the AIDS virus will eventually develop a serious abnormality of the immune system. An estimated 2 million Americans are already believed infected with the virus that causes AIDS. This long-term new study of Danish homosexual men goes well beyond other recent estimates of the proportion of people infected with the AIDS virus who can be expected to go on to develop the disease AIDS itself. The study appears in the current Annals of Internal Medicine.
As the Serendipity Singers, we travel over 100,000 miles a year.
That means Best Western.
And to us, what's Best Western?
It's an affordable vacation.
It's clean rooms and friendly people.
It's personal service and privacy.
It's convenient locations and quick reservations.
It's sleep just in time.
What is Best Western? It's the right place at the right price, no matter where you travel. So come on, stay with us.
Call 1-800-528-1234. Best Western, one.
Hi, Charlie. Hi, Mr. Johnson.
Ford Tempo Sport GL turns driving into an adventure with a high-output engine, 5-speed, and sport suspension. Tempo Sport GL can even turn your drive home into a stimulating experience.
How was the drive?
Oh, uneventful. Get 9.9% financing at your participating Ford dealer now.
You know that big-time, big-money lobbying is one of the big growth industries of our time. What you may not know or have thought about is how fast it is growing. One of the biggest current debates about it is over the spate of one-time Reagan administration officials who have left government to make money off of their inside contacts at high levels. Eric Ingberg has been investigating the latest alleged case in point.
Never far from the boss's side, Mike Deaver was Ronald Reagan's closest aide for years. Since leaving him, he's been selling what he knows and who, and doing it so successfully it's become a potential embarrassment to the White House.
It's always amazing to me. I mean, what did people think I was going to do when I left the White House? Become a brain surgeon?
A few months after he helped arrange this U.S.-Canadian summit meeting, Deaver went into business, taking Canada as one of his first clients. And just last month, in a meeting with Prime Minister Mulroney, the administration switched its policy on acid rain to one more to the liking of Canada.
I have never, since I left the White House, discussed the issue of acid rain with anybody in the administration. I'm not even sure I understand what acid rain is.
Since leaving the White House, Deaver has now been retained by foreign governments and foreign companies around the world who will pay him an estimated $2 million over the year. He denies peddling influence.
If they think that they're hiring me because I can pick up the phone and get something done like that, they're crazy. Nobody can do that.
I would be glad to have him make that statement before any town meeting that I conduct back in the district and see how many people believe him, or even whether he could get out of the room alive.
Dingle, who heads up the House Commerce Committee, has requested an investigation of Deaver's Canadian connection. Deaver has several U.S. clients, too, from broadcasters like CBS Incorporated to defense contractors such as Rockwell International. In February, he went to visit the head of the White House Budget Office, James Miller, to talk about the B-1 bomber Rockwell wants to sell the government. Critics say this violates the spirit of the law, which regulates lobbying of former associates after an official leaves office.
Technically, it's not a violation, and so that's it.
Deaver has picked up so much business from people who want a friend in high places that a British advertising company wants to buy his company for a reported $18 million.
We must be doing something right.
Congressional leaders say Deaver has caused such a fuss over the revolving door problem that there will likely be new restrictions on influence peddling. Said one old hand, he's spoiled it for everyone else. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.
More tonight on allegations that former UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim may have been a Nazi war criminal. The UN said Israel will be given access to a secret file on Waldheim, documents gathered by the World War II Allied War Crimes Commission. And Waldheim, who is running for president of Austria, again flatly denied the charges, saying they have, quote, fallen apart like a pack of cards.
Presenting new Tyson entrees, your passport to a world of great tastes. International classics like exciting chicken à l'orange with fruited rice pilaf. Tempting chicken sweet and sour with rice amandine. And robust chicken parmigiana with al dente linguine. Treat yourself to delicious Tyson entrees.
Sensational.
Tyson entrees, your passport to a world of great tastes.
Big boy's got what it takes. Full tilt, all out, holy flakes. Nothing halfway, nothing sweet. Just a great big crunch of good whole wheat. Yeah, hey banana, move aside. These big flakes got nothing to hide. Wheaties, Wheaties, good whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
The killing of black people continues in South Africa, and so much in that country comes down to black versus white. The battle over segregation, the struggle for freedom and for better living conditions. Even a celebration designed to be a time for joy isn't immune. John Blackstone reports.
With masked bands, soldiers, gymnasts, and hordes of school students, tonight's extravagant show was to be the centerpiece of a year-long celebration of Johannesburg's 100th birthday. But with barely a black face either on the field or in the stands, the spectacular reflected the spectacular failure of the centennial itself.
But all of a sudden they want us to get together and celebrate. We can only get together if we solve the problems of this country.
Black protest ruined the long-planned celebration. Blacks were urged to boycott everything associated with the centennial. White enthusiasm eroded.
I think from the public point of view,
It's a bit of a non-event, white, black, everybody.
Planning for the 100th birthday party began 7 years ago. It was to be a celebration of civic and national pride in South Africa's most important city. But as Wolfgang Moses discovered, pride does not run deeply in South Africa these days. His business selling centennial souvenirs is almost bankrupt.
Those things are lost. They are gone. Finished.
Tonight's extravaganza included one act billed as multiracial. But in the best tradition of the past 100 years, even in the multiracial act, the races remained well separated. John Blackstone, CBS News, Johannesburg.
On this 18th anniversary of the assassination of U.S. civil rights leader and now national hero Martin Luther King Jr., protests around the nation today over white minority rule in South Africa and U.S. investments in white-ruled South Africa. One of the biggest demonstrations today was this one in downtown Boston. More than 1,000 New England area students turned out. Attendance reportedly fizzled, though, at some other campuses and cities.
Most of us dream of investing in real estate, but all we see are barriers. We don't know enough. We don't want the headaches of managing property. We don't have the money, and on and on and on. At Integrated Resources, we manage over $9 billion in real estate investments. And with our help, you can make major real estate investments. Barriers? We don't see any barriers. Integrated Resources, because there's money to be made.
Does your antacid last long enough?
No, I've got to take it again.
Try Double Strength Mylanta 2 with nearly double the acid-neutralizing power of any leading brand.
Double strength, that's my kind of difference.
Mylanta 2.
When you buy a pair of Corning prescription lenses that change, it's like getting free light tints, free medium tints, dark tints, and a whole range of free sunglasses. Corning lenses. When you're buying eyeglasses, these are the ones to buy.
That's good. I like that. Now, ooh, when muscle pain hits, I could miss a great shot. But today, instead of aspirin or Tylenol, I take Advil for muscle aches and minor arthritis pain.
Advil has a non-prescription strength of ibuprofen, the medicine in the prescription brand Motrin. Doctors have prescribed ibuprofen over 130 million times. Advil's good for hours of relief, and Advil didn't upset my stomach. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
International terror dominated this week's news. At home, we learned about the problems caused by plunging oil prices. In these times, it often seems that events are beyond our control, that there is nothing any one individual can do to ease the world's pain and misery. But that is not so. For example, we recently met a woman, one person, who makes a difference again and again and again.
The baby boy in Janet Marchese's arms is 9 days old, but his parents told everyone he was stillborn, dead upon delivery. That's because he was born retarded, and they didn't want to keep him. So Marchese, as she figures she has done with over 1,000 retarded infants, found a couple who will adopt him, and now is taking him to his eager new parents.
Oh, look at this face.
How are you, Janet?
How you doing? Congratulations.
Good to see you again.
Oh.
For Gail and Wayne Weinert, Scott is the third handicapped baby they've adopted through Marchese, and the 9th such child in all.
When I look and see all these children that, if they weren't adopted, would end up in institutions, that just breaks my heart. And I feel sometimes we're a little crowded, but there's always room for one more.
Marchese finds homes for victims of Down syndrome, an incurable condition affecting 1 out of 800 newborns. It causes mental retardation, mild to severe, plus an assortment of physical problems. Adoption agencies often can find homes for such unwanted babies, but it takes them at least many months. It takes Marchese, at most, a few days. She takes no fees, has 5 kids and a husband who is a New York City cop, works to make ends meet herself, and does what she does because she cares. Hospitals that know her call when a handicapped baby needs a home.
I can't imagine anybody wanting to have a Down syndrome child in their family and reaching out and taking somebody else's child, embracing that child and bringing the child in when the child has this kind of handicap.
They're comfortable with whatever the potential may be of the child. They're not the type of families who are looking for the college grad. It's okay. whatever that child will be, whatever his potential may be, is okay with them. They're comfortable with that.
But some know they'll never be comfortable. They think the neighbors won't understand. Like this couple who turned to Marchese for help.
Your heart is broken. The child that you've been looking forward to caring for 9 months is not coming home with you. All of the expectations of a parent are not to be fulfilled, and this for us was our first child. So there's tremendous sorrow and there's tremendous agony in making this decision. What brings some element of relief into it is the joy that someone on the other side is about to experience, because that family has been waiting for a child very much like your own child.
Along comes Tammy with money to pay.
Marchese warns families like the Wiegans, who had adopted one child and wanted a second, that bringing in a retarded child can mean taking on a lifetime burden.
There are fears, but there's fears with everything in life. If you can just go inside of a shell because of uncertainties and fears, you're not going to do anything in life.
Look at his hair. He's got red hair.
Because New York State permits only authorized agencies to place children, and Marchese is not authorized officially by anyone, the state keeps threatening to sue and stop her. But she just keeps on doing what she is doing, not just for the children's sake, but also for the magic they offer.
And that magic is an unconditional love. Regardless of who you are or what you can or can't give these kids, they'll love you and they're happy.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Friday. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you here again Monday.
No matter what type of lawnmower you're thinking of buying, we can show you a lot of good choices at Sears. In fact, with our tough, dependable Craftsman mowers, you're likely to find more good choices in more kinds of mowers than any place else. No wonder more people choose Craftsman to cut their lawns than any other brand in America.
There's more for your life
During our new century.
at Sears.
At Lowry's restaurant back in the 30s, people would do almost anything to take our seasonings home with them. That's why we introduced Lowry's seasoned salt for the home. So whatever you're making, there's one seasoned salt worth shaking. Lowry's, the original.
New developments in the evolution of the luxury car. Today's luxury car has to be aerodynamic, trim, elegant. It has to handle a driver's car, but it still has to be luxurious, with obvious quality throughout. Advanced technology with functional electronics that contribute to driver comfort, convenience, and safety. Who's offering luxury cars that deliver all that? The answer is the first name you think of when you think of luxury cars.
Best of all, it's a Cadillac.
Why is my antacid Tums? Tums is effective. It neutralizes 1/3 more stomach acid than the other leading brand. And Tums is rich in calcium. To me, that's extra good news.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fairchild. Don't miss the struggle for power and the search for passion on Falcon Crest. Friday nights at 9, right here with the friends you can turn to on Channel 5.
Come on, Junior. A lost 2-year-old is found wandering around Nashville's streets during rush hour. We'll have details next on our news. We'll also have the latest word over the court fight to stop the baddest man in town contest. And Mule Day festivities get underway in Columbia.